Over the past 30 years, disasters have killed more than 2 million people, affected or displaced 5 billion others, and caused an estimated $1.4 trillion in physical and economic damage. And the discouraging reality is that due to natural resource degradation, the disruption of critical ecosystems, and global climate change, the impact of extreme weather events such as droughts, floods, and cyclones will become more destructive around the globe. For most of us, the first reaction to a disaster is to launch immediate humanitarian action, to provide food, medical care, and shelter. And that's obviously a necessary reaction. The second reaction is to build everything back again as soon as possible. But as understandable as that desire is, the desire for a return to normalcy, it may not always be the best long-term solution. In fact, very often, the long-term health of a community is better served when environmental and sustainability issues are considered throughout the rebuilding process. And that can only happen if those tasked with planning and implementing the recovery process have the skills, techniques, and tools to bring about such visionary change.
4 years ago, I was involved in the design of a housing project. I was asked to include environmental concerns and environmental angle in the development of the proposal and the development of the project. I can admit now to you that I had very little idea how to do that. This is why initiatives like this, I think, are so important. Because as project managers, under the pressure of time to show results, we have to have something at arm's length which we can either grab quickly, we already know where to start, and we already have something which we can reach out to.
In a post-disaster or ongoing conflict scenario where there's a lot of instability, there are a wide range of environmental issues that one has to consider. People don't often see the environment as an immediate life-saving issue, and in fact it's not an immediate life-saving issue in terms of water, shelter, food, those types of things. Very soon after, it will transition into what are we going to do with people and what are their longer-term needs, and their longer-term needs will eventually be relying upon the natural resources.
When organizations try to help these communities, if they don't look at the environmental aspects, there's going to be a lot of damage that the support programs can also do. They can be relocated in the wrong places. They can be supported with livelihood activities which might look financially sustainable, might not be environmentally sustainable. If the community is going to get a good project which will last a long time, support them in the future, and continue to be sustainable, they need to take environment into consideration. It's not an option.
I think that the toolkit that is currently in preparation is going to be a very valuable tool for the disaster response community. Some of the environmental factors that one needs to pay early attention to are water, pasturage, if one is in a nomadic environment, building materials, particularly wood, so that the recovery effort doesn't deplete resources that are going to be necessary for sustaining the community over the longer term.
The Green Recovery and Reconstruction Toolkit was developed with this balance in mind. Created to incorporate environmental sustainability and risk reduction into disaster response, the Green Recovery and Reconstruction Toolkit is primarily a training program to build the capacity of professionals in humanitarian, governmental, and environmental organizations. The goal is to equip these individuals with practical measures for applying these cross-disciplinary principles of sustainability.
We tend in the development and humanitarian assistance world to be broken into various different sectors. So the importance of environmental management tools, again, since the environment as a discipline is inherently interdisciplinary, it allows us to connect across those various different sectors. to step back as sectoral experts, which most of us are who come into work in these fields, and say, how can I pull together some of these different issues?
Very often you'll find project managers say they don't have time to look at environmental aspects. But GRRT tools are practical, they can be used very easily, and they can be used at any time of the recovery process, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months.
We're very hopeful for the training toolkit into the future, but of course the real test is how it's being used on the ground and the feedback from the actual users.
In the first place, humanitarian assistance should be sustainable. The Green Recovery Toolkit helps humanitarian workers act in environmentally sensitive ways so that their actions do not impact the environment or even host communities in a negative way.
The Green Recovery and Reconstruction Toolkit will affect my own work. Next time I will go out to a disaster operation, I will be able to convince the people that work with me in the operation to take the environmental concerns into consideration. I think as much people as possible should really do this training.
Whether you're engaged in humanitarian response, conservation efforts, or government operations, there are specific actions you can take at any stage of the process to support green recovery and reconstruction. This Green Recovery and Reconstruction Toolkit is an important, new, and holistic way of thinking for communities rebuilding in the wake of natural disasters. For more information, go to www.worldwildlife.org/humanitarian.